To do your face pull, set your bands at around head height, grab them tight and step back to create tension. Then what I like to do here is getting myself into position by pushing my shoulders down and then squeezing the shoulder blades together. After this, I'm going to externally rotate my arms just to ensure that I have a good base to pull from with the right muscles activated. Pull the bands toward your face by keeping the elbows out to your sides, aiming to get the hands near to the ears. Thinking of pulling with my hands rather than with my elbows is what helped me to understand the right technique. Keep the control throughout the whole rep, and as you reach the peak, try to squeeze it and hold it for a couple seconds, and then showing control, return to your starting position. Now let's quickly go through the mistakes. The most common one, I think, is simply not rotating. For example, what you see here is an exercise that will target your real delts, yes, but does nothing for your external rotators. I think this is a great example here to see the real difference between the two. We can pull some heavy weight with the real delt option, but when we start focusing and shifting the tension towards the rotator cuff, we will get super humbled, realizing how difficult that actually is. I think that's why we tend to cheat and turn this exercise into that real delt pull and not really focusing on that external rotation. It's going to feel like you're discovering new muscles in your body that you never actually trained before, but that's a good thing, and it's an important step to know. The rotator cuff muscles are our base, our stabilizers. We can't build a house on a muddy ground. Through our lifestyle, we already have this rounded posture. Think of driving your car, being constantly on our phones, you're developing that rounded shoulders. Basically, gravity is pulling you down, so these muscles get stretched, weakened, and to fight it, we need to include these exercises for longevity, for better quality of life, for injury prevention, and of course, for better strength gains. Strong rotators mean strong base, less injury, so we can stay in a game for longer. The second mistake is when we pigeon the exercise. This usually happens when the weight is too heavy or the tension in the band is too high. Our poor body just trying to complete the movement and the task in hand, so if you can't pull with your hands anymore, we're naturally just going to put our head to the hands and ended up strengthening your giving head muscles more than your rotator cuff. We need to decrease the weight a little bit or just ease the tension in the band so we can do this exercise properly. To do face pulls, we can also use a cable machine. That's a good option because we can track our progress accurately, but we can also use Olympic rings. We just have to make sure we set our Olympic rings evenly so they're all at the same level. And this option is probably the hardest to measure because you need to change your body position to make the exercise easier or harder. And just like what we discussed with the rows, the more horizontal your body is and the lower you are, the harder it's going to be, and the more vertical you are, the easier the exercise gets. We can also use free weights like plates or small dumbbells. That exercise often called the W raise. It is also a good option, but you just have to make sure that you maintain a forward lean to keep the tension on your muscles. Because if you're too upright, the weights are being supported by your elbows and there's no more tension at the peak of the exercise. And finally, if we have absolutely no equipment available, we can also use our door frame. And the same applies here in terms of your body angle and your body position. The lower you are, the harder this exercise is going to be. Now we can also target our rotator cuff from different angles, making sure that we hit them from different directions, ticking all the boxes. I'm showing here a banded isometric and a dynamic option, and I like to include both of them in my training. But if you don't have any bands, we can do this exercise with a small plate or dumbbells, and I even used a bottle of wine before when I had nothing else around me. And if you need to make it lighter, you can just take a few sips out of it and drop setting the exercise.